Welcome everyone to this very special event, The Power of Community for International Women's Day. I am so happy to have such a large and diverse group joining us, our community from all over the world. This is the largest single gathering we've ever had with more than 1,400 participants. I see that you've been sharing in the chat where you're from. It's so wonderful to see the names of so many friends. I'm just so happy you're here. Every International Women's Day, which is actually March 8th, we celebrate with you, our members, grantees, partners, and friends to celebrate the social, economic, cultural achievements of women around the world. We also take this opportunity to strengthen our commitment to global gender equality. By participating in our community, we are all social change agents. We have seen this again and again in the hearts of members and in the communities and families of grantees. We are building realistic, positive change in the world. When we all come together in community, we are the change we want to see. The last year has been a difficult one for everyone in the world. The pandemic has affected how we all live, work, and communicate. But I cannot tell you how important this community has been to me personally. Catching up with you on our monthly virtual chapter meetings, learning how our grantees are pivoting and persevering through the collateral effects of COVID-19. Even if it's on Zoom, it lifts me to see your smiles and know that we are all still showing up for women and girls. Today's program will start with a panel of extraordinary women on how the power of community can achieve global gender equality, an idea taken directly from our mission statement. Later in our program, we will unveil our new name and logo, a milestone that we are celebrating together with all of you. We are fortunate to have our co-founder, Barb Collins, share why it is time to make this change. And you will want to stay for an inspiring video and a message from Grammy Award-winning Angelique Kidjo at the end. Now, I am thrilled to introduce our panelists today. Each one of them has witnessed the power of community. Many of you know them, and we all hold them close to our hearts. Heather Ibrahim Leathers is the founder of Global Fund for Widows, an organization that we featured in October. Global Fund for Widows is dedicated to empowering widows and female heads of households to overcome poverty through skills-based training, job creation, and microfinance. They help widows in Nigeria, Egypt, India, Kenya, Malawi, Tanzania, Cameroon, Bolivia, and the Dominican Republic. Jennifer Schechter is the co-founder and CEO of Integrate Health and a returned Peace Corps volunteer. DFW has a long relationship with Integrate Health. Due to the amazing work and impact they made, we awarded them a sustained grant over the past 3 years. Integrate Health has excelled in fulfilling its mission of ending preventable deaths in isolated, forgotten rural communities of Togo, where poverty is persistent. Saha Leitu Yelebo is also with Integrate Health. Saha was born and raised in Togo. In 2013, she joined the Integrate Health team in Togo, where she worked as the community outreach coordinator and later was a part of the team that launched the Maternal Child and Health Pilot Program. She saw firsthand the challenges girls face due to social perceptions of women's role in society. And this motivated her to move to the US to pursue a master's degree in human rights. Judy Auble is the executive director of the Grandmother Project, another one of Dining for Women's amazing sustained grantees. Grandmother Project is widely recognized for the inclusion of elders, especially grandmothers, the strengthening of communication between generations, and methods that promote dialogue and consensus building to encourage community. Anna Schoen is chair of Dining for Women's National Regional Leader Committee and has served Dining for Women in many capacities over the years. She founded and still leads the Valparaiso, Indiana chapter, and Anna is especially well qualified to speak of the importance of community. She wrote her master's thesis on place and belonging. In 2018, she was awarded a fellowship to study community building and belonging with Walter Brueggemann, Peter Block, and John McKnight. Dining for Women staff and regional leaders have benefited tremendously by the community building training that Anna has provided in recent years. I now turn over this panel discussion to Dining for Women's Director of Grants and Partnerships, Dr. Veena Kondake.
Thank you, Beth Ellen. Thank you for that wonderful introduction. And as you can all see, community is the theme today. So my first question to all our panelists is going to be about why community is so important in your work. I'm going to start with Judy Auble, Grandmother Project. Judy, here you are. You live in Europe, you work in Senegal in Africa, and you have a home in the United States. If there was anybody who was connecting all three continents, you are it. In your research and scholarship, you have studied the collective cultures like those that we find in Asia, Africa, and Latin America. Grandmother Project's tagline is change through culture, where you emphasize the role of community to knowledge and experience from the community. Explain how this plays out for you.
Thank you, Veena. No, it's a pleasure to be here. I just returned from Senegal yesterday, actually, to Rome. Yes, the power and the importance of community. So my work with my team, actually Senegalese team in West Africa, is with communities promoting the health and well-being of women and children, and especially of girls. What I wanted to share, I think in Africa, as in Asia and Latin America, community, others, connectedness, interdependency in these more collectivist cultures is so important. If in the US, in North America, rugged individualism is valued, in these non-Western, more collectivist cultures, it is connectedness and interdependency that is valued. I think some of you have probably heard of the concept of Ubuntu, which comes from Zulu language and from Southern Africa, but is a concept that exists across Africa that refers to, as I've been saying, to the importance of the connectedness, responsibility to others. In Senegal, the proverb says that a person is nothing without others. And so in our work, our program on girls' holistic development, indeed, the end objective we aim to accomplish is improving girls' education, development, etc. But in all cases, we know that girls alone cannot change, cannot keep themselves in school or avoid child marriage or female genital mutilation. It requires the whole community. Our approach on all of these issues is involving elders, adults, adolescents, men and women in community dialogue and processes to support girls. Just a short quote from one of our grandmothers, just talking about the importance of this approach, this inclusive and community approach. She said, "Communication is the foundation for life of any community. Without communication and understanding, there will never be any development." She said other programs in our community failed because there was not enough community involvement and enough dialogue and understanding between people. She said, we never had the opportunity to sit together and discuss like this, although this is the best way to promote the development of our communities. Thank you.
Judy, thank you so much. I'm so delighted to start this panel presentation with you so that we give respect to grandmothers and we give respect to our elders and those who are so wise. Now I'm coming back to stateside, and Anna, this one is for you. We in Western societies are deemed to be part of individualistic cultures, as we have just been talking about. Yet here we are, the Dining for Women family. We're building community, democratic values, and coming together is so important to us. We achieve so much working together. Our grant selection is a democratic process with member representation. Our regional leaders and chapter leaders work collectively, and our board and staff work together to bring our strategic plan to life. How do you see all these strands of we the people coming together?
Oh, you're asking me?
Anna, this question is for Anna.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Anna?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thanks. It's really great to be here today. I'm so excited for this day. I think when I think about community, I think about community being the container for belonging. And I think there are kind of two things that have to happen for us to have the experience of belonging. So drawing on the work of Brene Brown, she talks about taking the risk to show up as your wholly authentic self and experiencing some vulnerability as opposed to trying to fit in, which would be adjusting yourself to what you think is more acceptable, right? And Peter Block talks about two different definitions of belonging. So this idea that I belong to something, I belong to my chapter or to the organization, but also another definition where something belongs to me, right? I take ownership of it and decide what meaning or value is going to show up in the room because I'm here. And I think Dining for Women is uniquely constructed in a way that gives us those opportunities, right? So there's some level of vulnerability in the way our chapters traditionally meet. When we show up together, if you're hosting people in your home, there's a level of vulnerability in that. If you're cooking and sharing food, there's a level of vulnerability in that. Learning together is a vulnerable activity. And so I think there is just in our chapter model, the opportunity to take some risks and be a little vulnerable with each other. And then the organization itself offers lots of opportunities for us to take ownership, right? And so you can take ownership of what happens in your chapter meeting. You can become a chapter leader and take ownership of organizing a chapter. There are national volunteer opportunities and lots of ways for us to decide how we're going to add meaning or value to our collective work. And all of that helps us experience community in our work together.
Thank you, Anna. And thank you for your wonderful leadership on the Regional Leaders Committee, bringing that vulnerability and that openness and all of that to your work. Thank you so much. Next, I'm going to Jenny. So Jenny, Integrate Health is very valued, very well known for your community health delivery innovations. You have won awards for this. You have demonstrated the importance of continuity of care. You've expanded your program delivery during COVID, and you have contributed to the system level change of how primary healthcare is delivered. What are the strengths of all these communities that you work in that has helped you achieve so much?
Thank you, Veena. What a great question. And it's such an honor to be here with all of you today. You know, I want to start by saying that for me as an American working with, alongside, and on behalf of an African organization, community is everything, because our communities are the experts. They know exactly what is needed. And I am a facilitator and an advocate and a supporter, and I can leverage the resources that I have, but I depend on the community to know exactly what needs to be done. And I think, you know, COVID has been just such an example of this. As you mentioned, Vina, we employ community health workers who are women recruited from their own communities to deliver care. And during COVID, we gave all of our community health workers the option to opt out of work, but continue to receive pay, because we wanted to acknowledge the risks inherent and be sensitive to their concerns. And every single one of our community health workers opted in. They chose to continue working. They chose to continue providing care. We equipped them with proper personal protective equipment so they would be safe. But one of our community health workers, Justine, summed it up so well when she said, "The challenge that we face right now is to silence the fear within us so that we can continue to care for the communities around us." Gosh, isn't that just what we have all felt every day for the last year? Just how do we silence this fear so that we can keep going and do what we need to do every day? And so I derive my inspiration from women like Justine and my colleague Sahali too, who's with us today, and all of our community members, and the courage that they demonstrate, and especially have demonstrated over this past year in the face of COVID.
Absolutely, Jenny. We are all privileged, those of us stateside. Some of us are actually planning our COVID vaccines, whereas the rest of the world is still waiting for all of that. So there's much to be done. So actually, I'm going to move to Sahali too. You have had an interesting journey working for Integrate Health in Togo. And then you worked for an organization that does girls' education. Now you are back with Integrate Health on the US team. And you are pursuing your master's in human rights. So which communities do you hope to work with in the future? Tell us more.
Honestly, I think that I can limit the communities that I want to work on with. I think I'm thinking beyond borders, right? I want to work with all the communities that I can meet on my life path. Growing up, I was front row seeing the gender discrepancies in my society, and I decided that this is what I want to do for my whole life. My mother, she was a very strong woman. I lost my real mom when I was really young, so I grew up with this women who always told me that you can do whatever you want to do in life. And that stuck with me, right? And I feel like every time I meet any kind of difficulties in my life, she's lifting me up. Her words that I have heard my whole life, lifting me up. And people that I work with, like Jenny and other women, the CHWs that I work like in Togo, and those girls that I work with when I was working with Pathways Togo, these are the women who are, I feel like I belong to. So my feeling of belonging to a community really have no border. Everywhere I go, I think everywhere a group of women are, I belong. Thank you.
Absolutely. Saheli, too, like you, I came in my early 20s to the United States, and it can be a little scary to leave home and come to a new country. But that, like Anna says, you bring the vulnerability to your process, and it can be exhilarating to learn about new communities, and it actually gives you courage to do better things. So we wish you the very best of luck as you combine these different continents and communities in your work. Next, I'd like to go to Heather. Heather, your project has been one of the favorite, or like my family says, favoritiest featured grantees in recent times. You work with widows in your communities across the world. And in some of these countries, the laws exist for the protection of the widows. but their families are completely flouting these community norms because they are pursuing wealth and power. Tell us more about these very strong communities of widows who work together and support each other.
Well, first of all, thank you for your invitation and for your humbling, kind words. I feel a little bit teary, so thank you for that, because I never cry, and so I appreciate you inviting me and for the support the Dining for Women community has given our community. So, as you said, widows around the world have this silent struggle that really hasn't been made public until now. And we've been working for the last 13 years to bring that knowledge to this side of the pond. The truth of the matter is, the first thing that widows lose when they lose their husband is their community. They're ostracized, they're expelled from their homes, from their families, from their land, from their rightful estates, from everything, and they're left bereft of just completely all that they had. And so they find themselves without community, without sometimes even their own children, because sometimes the children are held on as assets by their husband's family. So our intervention really addressed that fundamental root issue. And so we brought communities together. Right now, we're building microbanks, and I'm proud to say we have approximately 50 now throughout the world. Our microbank wasalas are founded in community. And so we must bring 25 widows together to even begin to be able to realize this dream of giving each one of those widows a chance. And when we bring those 25 widows together and we launch a bank with them, the first thing they do is they begin to address their community. They create micro enterprises that fill gaps for needs within their community. They start saving money so that they can do things like send a child of theirs to school, improve the health and nutrition of their family, support one another. And then integrated into the bank model is this constant revisiting of community, where they're constantly meeting twice a month, just like Dining for Women, reinforcing that community. But that ability to join together in community creates the only family that they really truly have. And then from that, we see some of the most amazing and catalytic effects. We see widows meeting even during wartime, bullets flying through the streets, and they continue to meet because they fundamentally need that community. And then they use their power to advocate for themselves, not only in their own legal structures and find their own voices, but then they're helping us. So for example, they come to us and they give us the information of what their struggles are, and we go to our governments and are advocating on their behalf. And we've been able to take whatever they've been doing and bring it now to have, I'd love to see if I can invite all of the Dining for Women community to a special event we're having at the Commission on the Status of Women, where we actually have finalized Funzeli, the CEO of UN Women, to speak on the issue of widowhood for the first time ever. And so it gives you a sense of just how far we've come because of the strength of this community. So I thank you.
Oh, Heather, you know this issue is close to my heart. I was brought up by two widows, my mother and my grandmother. Moving on to the next question. Don't go away, Heather. Wangari Maathai, the first African woman to receive the Nobel Peace Prize, said, "I'm very conscious of the fact that you can't do it alone. It's teamwork. When you do it alone, you run the risk that when you are no longer there, nobody else will do it." So Heather, do you have a story that reflects this quote? I know sometimes you feel like you're doing it all alone. You have a small team here in the US. So please tell us.
Am I doing it alone? I was once told by a widow when she found out that Dining for Women had given us a grant, and that I called them in Kenya and said, "We've received this grant." They called the field and they came back and they said, the widows cried, and one of them said, "We pray for her because the burden of her work is great, and the weight on her shoulders is great." And I thought, you know what, that's really not true. I'm carried by you. I'm carried by the strength. We're a team of 3, and we're able to do things like advance this cause to an esteemed audience like yourselves, or be able to change laws. I'll give you an example. We just brought this week a series of revisions to the agreed conclusions language at the United Nations. And we thought the first time that we presented it late last week, it was rejected summarily. All of our changes, 9 pages of changes rejected. And then they came back to us and they said, let's see those changes. The Africa group in its entirety universally accepted every single one of our recommendations and put it in the text. And then they sent it to the UK, and now the UK has summarily accepted all of our. So we're carried by this community as opposed to feeling alone. I feel like we have strength in numbers and strength in voice and power generated by you as well.
Mm-hmm. Jenny, do you have a story to share with us about teamwork and how important it is?
Veena, when I read that quote and was reflecting on it, it made me think about the way that the 2 different ways that we can define power. So one way to define power is a very internalized sense of power. The stronger I am, the more powerful I will be. But the other way to define power is a very externally focused definition of the more of us there are, the more powerful we will be. And that is, I think that Wangari is pushing us all towards that definition of power. And that is the definition of power that I see Dining for Women exemplify. It's the power that I see demonstrated by my colleagues every day, especially my female colleagues. I mean, let's be honest, that is the female definition of power, a woman's definition of power. And it's the type of power that I aspire to as a leader. And it makes me so proud to be working alongside all of you to try to build and expand that definition of power. Because what it means is that we have to stop and pause, and we have to look around and ask ourselves, who's not here? Who is not yet at the table, and how can we bring them along, and how do we bring them to the table? And I see that happening every day in all of our work. And that is how I believe we're truly going to change things at the community level, at the systems level, and doing it together and for the better.
Thank you, Jenny. Thank you for pushing us more further along from Wangari's quote. So Sahalitu, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, and I don't want to repeat what Jenny said, but honestly, there is a saying in Togo that goes, l'union fait la force, which is in French. And to translate it in English, it means strength comes from unity, right? And that is exactly what this quote makes me think of. That's together we're stronger, like Jenny just put it very well, and a few years ago, I participated in this application when Integrated Health was applying for Dining for Women for the first time. I was in one of the videos, and maybe one of you can remember me. And I think that the work that we've been doing since then or before that, and the work that you are doing as an organization supporting other organizations, is showing that we cannot get anywhere without this collaboration. We cannot, provide the services that we want to around the world. We cannot make the world better without this kind of collaboration and working together. So thank you for what you do, Dining for Women.
Oh, you're absolutely welcome. It is our pleasure. Judy, do you want to take this idea further?
Let's see. Regarding
Wangari's quote, that we cannot do it alone. We have to work in a team. And then Jenny said, that's how it is. It's our women's power.
Right. Yes, I think what I would like to share related to that in terms of the importance of working together, a bit different, really the importance of working together in the respective programs, whether it's in North America or elsewhere in the world, in Africa, wherever, the importance of working together across generations. I think, as I said, our work, the end goal is to support girls. I think often programs, especially the influence of our very youth-focused society, sometimes the focus is only on girls. And I think what we have learned, and the great lesson that we've learned from working from supporting girls and strengthening collaboration and understanding between girls and mothers and grandmothers, and all leading up to the power of women then to support girls and to do many other things within communities. So I think, and just to say, yeah, my organization is called Grandmother Project, Change Through Culture, but it's not only grandmothers, it's grandmothers really leading an intergenerational team of women.
Absolutely. So coming back to you, Anna, I wanted to give you something more to chew on. I know Peter Block is one of your inspirations. And one of the quotes say, "We are in community each time we find a place where we belong." How would you like to take that further?
Yeah, someone I have been thinking about today for a long time, and thinking about what I wanted to share. And I've been thinking about this quote that someone just put in the chat, that if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And the struggle for gender equality around the world is going to take a long time, right? We need to go far. And so, and the truth is that we are all connected, right? And inequality comes from the resistance of that, or the denial of that. So we can't do this work alone, right? Like, we have got to figure out how to build community and how to belong to each other. The work itself is acknowledging that we are all connected, right? That that none of us can be free until all of us are free, and that we're a part of one another. And so Block says the most important tool we have for healing what's broken in the world is building community. And so so learning how to create real belonging and help each other be valuable, and practicing radical hospitality that says that you are welcome here, and we need you in this struggle. And so.
Absolutely. Thank you, Anna. So for all of you, as we work together for global gender equality and we strive for gender equity, we have to rally everybody to the cause. Our voices to speak up for women and girls, our advocacy in the corridors of power, our resources so that we can all work together. So what is the call to action for all of us from each one of you? And Jenny, I'm going to start with you.
I think, you know, I have to lean again, Veena, on my colleagues in Togo and their courage. And for me, that's the call to action, is be courageous. You know, whatever it is, that the hardest step is that first step. So take a moment, think about what you're passionate about, what drives you, what moves you, and then just do it. Take a step, pick up the phone, call an organization, sign up for a newsletter, whatever it is. I just think that the scope of the challenges that we're facing demand really audacious courage on all of our parts. And I know that women are the most courageous members of our society, and that we can lead on the solutions.
Absolutely. Salil too, do you have anything to add to that?
Yes, of course. I really like the saying that if you see something, do something. So for me, for each one of us here, we are part of some kind of community. And there's always problems in community. For my part, it was, girls and women rights. So if you see any kind of issue in your community, try and think about the innovative ways of, resolving those problems, and involve your community in that way. So if you see a problem, do not sit there because it doesn't concern you. It's hurting someone in your community. So you have to take a step and do something about it.
Judy, what is your call to action for all of us?
Yeah, I think relating back to what I said before, I think we need to encourage and have faith in women of all ages. I think in many development programs, there is a bias against elders in general and older women in particular. And I think the well-being of women of all ages really depends on increased understanding and solidarity between women of different ages and also with other members of the community. I think we shouldn't, in our programs, we shouldn't leave out the little boys or the men or others, but that the core of promoting women and girls' well-being is really intergenerational solidarity and collaboration.
Absolutely. Heather, what about you? I know you're working at so many levels, at the government level, at CSW, you're at the UN. Tell us more.
Gosh, this is a really hard question because narrowing it down to one thing is really hard. I think the onus is on each and every one of us to leave the world a little bit better than we found it. And so that means finding the courage, as Jennifer and Sahiltu said, to take that step to speak up against that injustice, to take that step to make that investment in the bank, or to join that group of 25 other widows, or whatever it is. Because I think that we just need to move one step at a time to leave the world a slightly better place than it is. And quite honestly, my life's work has been really a testament to that. I don't think that I ever once imagined that I would be in a position to be talking to you today based on a little dream that I had on my kitchen table, 12 years ago. But the fact that, we have 20,000 or so widows whose lives have been completely changed, and 60,000 of their children or so, that is the power of that one step and the inspiration of the one step. And we just all have to leave this world in slightly a better condition than we found it, or at least spend a lifetime trying.
Absolutely. Thank you for that, Heather. Anna, where should we go with all of this? Invite more of our members to join different committees, speak up, join another chapter, help us in our advocacy efforts. Where would you leave that, Anna?
Yeah, I think just going back to where I started, right? Our work is to figure out what is the expression of who we truly are, and how do we bring our wholly authentic self to this work, and figure out where we offer our gifts and talents in order to bring meaning and value to the work. And then also to keep reaching to the margins and bringing the voices and the gifts and talents of those women and community members to the center, right? The work of community building and leadership is about bringing the marginalized voices and gifts to the center, and helping each other continue to show up authentically and offer our gifts and talents in the work.
Thank you. I want to thank all our panelists for being here, for starting us off on this discussion of community. I wanted to end with a few thoughts and then turn it over to Home Office for the big reveal. I know you're all waiting. But we, the Dining for Women family, have always, time and time again, tried to reduce the geographical distance between all of us. And we have tried to deepen our connections as a global community with our grantee partners and everybody else that we work with. I have always described the Dining for Women embrace as one that is snug and encouraged our grantee partners to actually lean in and enjoy it. COVID-19 has reminded us how deeply connected we really all are. Zoom has kept us a click away from each other. So here we are as a community, ready to refresh our brand, emerge like a phoenix, and to recommit to our ideals. And on that note, I will hand it back to Home Office and Beth Ellen.
Thank you so much, Veena. Isn't she a fabulous interviewer on top of our incredible panelists today? I thank you, Veena. Thank you to all of our friends and partners. I love going into the next portion of our program with the idea of radical hospitality. If you see something, do something. Intergenerational work. Those are all ideas that have been woven throughout Dining for Women, starting with its founding. So it is very exciting for me to turn the program over to our co-founder, Barb Collins.
Hello, everyone. Special thanks, Wendy Fradlin, whose preparation for today was simply masterful. I can feel the energy here today, and isn't it incredibly addicting to do something good? Even better to do it together, and like you've mentioned in your panelist comments in the chat box of Beth Ellen, we're in the business of radical hospitality. So what's all the fuss about a name? A few words and a logo make an instant impression with lasting consequences. Reflecting our values is a big deal. So I don't know how many of you remember, but in our early days, we spent several years keeping up with our explosive chapter and member growth. At that time, giving circles were the new wave of philanthropy. Dining for Women was a catchy name, and it sure did capture the attention of all the national media. We spent most of those early years focused on how we raised
Here. Okay, we're back from technical difficulties. I'm sorry to delay this very important moment. So we were talking about how we went from how to our focus on why. So over the last few years, we've worked on a new strategic plan, and we realized it was time for an honest look at whether or not our 18-year-old image was holding us back, and we found it was holding us back. We heard from many of you that we want our name to reflect our why, building a gender equal world. And looking around at all of us here today, isn't it way past time for our name to catch up to the powerful community that we've become? So knowing that changing our name was a really big decision, we needed to make sure we got this right. And we partnered with an expert in nonprofit branding. And the best ideas bubbled up from our members, our volunteer leaders, our grantees, and our staff. I believe that what we came up with will make us more visible and help people find us. It shouts out that our doors are wide open to everyone. It's capable of pulling in many, many more members and chapters so we can change more lives. Now, this change is a bold move. For many of us long-timers, dining for women has been part of our lives for 5, 10, 15, 18 years. I admit that initially I had some doubts, and I have worried a bit about how you all might react. When I first heard the name, I made myself wake up with it every day for 2 weeks before making a judgment. And I felt my excitement start to build, and surprisingly, it was easy to let go of the old. And now our name, the new name, just makes me proud. I hope you'll feel the same way because we have so much good to do in this world. So let's get to the good part. We have a little video that was inspired by all of you. So here it goes.
Since 2003, together, we have empowered women and girls around the world so they can live freely, rise to their full potential, and become powerful agents of change. We champion global gender equality because women's rights are human rights. We know that women can lead the way to a healthier, more peaceful, inclusive, and economically just world for everyone. Through our work, we have seen this happen over and over again. When women and allies come together and act, there is no limit to what we can rise to achieve. We harness the power of community, the power of collective action, to make life-changing differences for each other and for the world. Yes, we have accomplished a great deal together, and there is still a lot more to be done. It's time to welcome in a new name and a new look. One that is bold and dynamic, that honors our past while setting us up for greater impact in the future, that welcomes everyone. A name that highlights the power of our community and the power of our impact on the world. And now, we are proud and excited to reveal our new name. Together, women rise.
Together, women rise when we each have a voice.
Together, women rise when our bodies are respected and our minds are valued.
Together, women rise when we start education at young age.
When we bring everyone who cares about women and girl empowerment all around the world together.
When our voices, education, independence, and equality are a priority for all of us.
Together, women's rights, when both gender recognize they are capable, equal, and worthy.
When the stories of women and girls are heard.
Les femmes émergent quand elles travaillent ensemble et non séparément.
When we all work together to protect the environment.
Together, women rise
when we stand up for women's rights.
To make decisions that will benefit their families and their communities.
When men are equal partners.
Together, women rise when we end domestic violence.
When we put an end to sex trafficking.
When justice is served equally among all members of society.
Together, women rise when girls get an education.
When marriage is a choice and there are no longer child brides.
when everyone has a safe, solid place to call home.
Together, women rise when we plant trees for future generations.
When women and girls make decisions about their own lives.
When they are in control of their own bodies and their own mind.
Juntas las mujeres nos elevamos cuando conocemos nuestros derechos y somos capaces de defendernos.
Together, women rise when all women come in front of community to fight their human rights.
Together, women rise when women and girls can apply their incredible skills, intellect, and talent to addressing the world's greatest challenges.
Together, women rise when girls' self-esteem and dignity is restored by making sure their critical days in a month are well covered.
When we share our intellectual and financial resources to support global gender equality.
Together, women rise when we support and inspire each other, then nothing can stop us from achieving our dreams.
When women and girls have a seat at the table.
When she is given equal opportunity to succeed.
Together, women rise when they overcome their challenges and achieve their goals.
Together, women rise when everyone's daughter has the opportunity to succeed.
Together, women rise when they believe in themselves.
Together, women rise. Collective action for global gender equality.
So, what do you all think? I have goosebumps. I have some few tears. I think it's a really powerful snapshot of the heart of who we are. And I love the modern look and the colors. This logo is a beautiful interpretation of women standing strong with their hands raised high, coming together around a center circle, which can be viewed as the world or as a giving circle like our chapters. And each word in our new name holds significant meaning for us. Together, because it honors gathering in our chapters and it honors our global community, both working side by side. This sense of belonging and purpose is our superpower. That's why we put together front and center in the name. Women, because achieving global gender equality is our guiding star. And rise, because we envision a world where all women and girls rise to their full potential and lead change. Rise is everyone's call to action, and it ignites a sense of urgency in us. Our tagline, Collective Action for Global Gender Equality, centers on our mission and explains how we're going to get there. This is the magic that happens when we light up our minds and our hearts at the same time. I call this compassionate action. We learn, we listen, we collaborate to find and fund innovative ways to help women and girls. And these empowered women and girls go on to lead and nurture their families, their communities, and their countries. Gender equality is a strategy for the well-being of everyone, everywhere. Together, Women Rise tells the world exactly who we are and what we aim to do. And it tells every woman and every girl that we believe in her and we are here to help. And isn't that what we're all about? Thank you, Barb. I loved reading all of your comments in the chat. It's just just wonderful to see how much you all love it. And thank you, Barb. I'm speechless, and I can't be speechless right now because we have more to talk about, but I'm so grateful for your support on that. And I would like to call on a few people to actually hear their thoughts on our new name. So first, let's start with our board chair, Lynn O'Connell. Lynn, could you share a little about why you love this new name and what this means for our organization's future? Lynn, I think you're on mute.
Every time, Beth Ellen, how embarrassing. Okay, I'll speed up. Anyway, I'm delighted we're here today. Thank you, Beth Ellen. The board 4 years ago decided that we would begin working on a vision for the future. We knew that we wanted to serve more women and girls, have greater global gender equality, and also continue to diversify and grow our membership. Today, the result, we are still the same Dining for Women, the same people, the same foundation around our chapter model, our members as lifeblood, and all working together for a common mission. The process, including the name change, has been an investment of 4 years of time and a lot of work. But what we've gotten out of it, our impact on global gender equality and our long-term sustainability is incredible. Congratulations, Together Women Rise, members, staff, and board. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lynn. Next, I'd like to call on Rachel Peterson. Rachel, along with her mom, Tamara, is a co-chapter leader of the Hudson, Ohio chapter and co-leader of our Central region. Rachel was also a member of our Brand Champions group, which included representatives from across our organization who provided feedback and advice to us throughout the naming process. So, Rachel, what do you think?
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I'm honored and thrilled to be here, and even more so to see this new name unveiled. It's so exciting. I also have goosebumps, as Barb said. So when I think about the new name, I think about it in terms of this quote about a mission, which is the why is fixed, but the how is flexible. And I think if there's anything the last year has shown us, it's that the how has had to get very flexible for all of us, for how we support ourselves, our families, our communities, and our own chapters and our grantees. But why we do what we do has never changed. We exist because we believe in the power of community to achieve global gender equality. And that's why I'm so excited about the name Together Women Rise, because that answers the question of why. Why do you do this? Because you believe, you know that together women rise. And the focus on the why also takes away the barriers and the potential power dynamic of what we might do for other women, in the sense that there is an us and them, when really, as we know, there is no us and them in the global community. We are all together. And having that within our name breaks down barriers, and I think opens up the organization for some who may have thought that maybe the philanthropy space was not for them. Maybe they don't have the right experience, or they don't have the right income, or they're not the right age. And this new name is inclusive for all, and it's vibrant and action-oriented. And I am so excited to welcome new members into this community under this name, because the why we exist is now in our very name.
Thank you, Rachel. Wow, I love that idea that the why is fixed and the how is flexible, because wow, we should play limbo about now after the last year. The next person I want to call on is Shanice Chris. You saw her in the video with her daughter. Her daughter was hugging her. She's also on our board and is chair of our new Diversity, Equity, and Inclusive Culture Committee, which we will be hearing more about in the future. But Shanice, what are your thoughts on the new name?
I love the name, and right now I'm going to focus on the word together. So together, we are working to ensure that we strive for diversity in our organization in every arena and in our chapters. Diversity represents so many parts of our lives: race, ethnicity, age, who we love, who we worship, our finances, and even a diversity of ideas. Together, we are working on equity. Equity means that we ensure that everyone in our organization has access to opportunity, the opportunity to know about things and contribute to the wonderful programs that we have here. And lastly, together, we are working to ensure that we cultivate an inclusive culture. Our spaces will continue to be open to every person committed to gender equality as we commit to addressing equality around the world and in our homes. Together, Women Rise solidifies our stance of championing diversity, equity, and inclusive culture because we can only rise together.
Denise, thank you so much. And please tell your daughter that she's getting hugs from all 1,500 of us.
Thank you.
Okay, next I'd like to hear from Scott Osborne, who is a longtime DFW member, and she serves on our volunteer grant selection committee. She's in Sarasota. She heads up the chapter there for UN Women, and she was also a member of our Special Brand Champions group. Scott?
Thank you, Beth Ellen. This name and tagline are really very personal for me. I started doing international development work at the age of 21, and already, all those years ago, in West Africa, the cycle of repeat projects was apparent. Well-meaning aid agencies would come in and support projects providing essential human needs while never really dealing with the underlying issues, dooming these aid projects to be repeated every single generation. So why is this important? This is important because gender inequality is a root cause, an underlying issue of women's poverty and injustice. Gender inequality is why girls all over the world drop out of school when they get their menstrual periods. Gender inequality is why women don't access credit for their businesses at the same rates as men, or why widows lose their land when their husbands die. And gender inequality is certainly why women are not in the seats of government and power at equal rates. So I am absolutely thrilled with our new name and our new tagline because it really puts gender equality at the front and center of our mission. It means we can both help women and girls with their essential needs and address the underlying issues, the real root causes of poverty and injustice. That means that our granddaughters and our great-granddaughters may be coming together to do good work, but they will not be working on the same projects. We will all have advanced. So we are thousands of chapter members and grantees and partners all over the world. There's incredible potential in those numbers if together we get behind these root causes, we get behind these gender equality initiatives. So I am incredibly optimistic and thrilled and just so proud to be part of the work of Together Women Rise. Thank you, Beth Ellen.
Thank you so much, Scott. I think I'm so glad you ended with that you're optimistic, because right now it's so important to be optimistic with so much work to do. Next, I would like to turn to Dr. Vinola Vincent-Munyon, who is a writer on our education team. She serves on our Diversity, Equity, and Inclusive Culture Working Committee called the Hub. Vinola, what are your thoughts?
Thank you, Beth. I'm still trying to, regulate my emotions. That was such a beautiful video. I really hope when we make this release, we can also release that video with it, because I think that video really brought out that concept of the name really well. Coming to the name, I'm still processing all my thoughts, but what I really love is what the name centers. In our previous avatar as Dining for Women, the centering was all on dining. The focus of the spotlight was on dining, which, as Rachel pointed, is the how, the why, the how we are doing something, the process, not the outcome. With Together Women Rise, I feel like that's centering our mission and our outcome, what we want to see being done with our work, which is together all of us rise. And with dining for women, the for made it seem like there was some sort of unequal relationship. It kind of implied a giver versus a receiver. With Together We Rise, I feel like what it does is it establishes that we're all working together, and this is a symbiotic, mutually beneficial relationship, because that's the way it is. I mean, we're learning as much as in the process of engaging with all our grantees. So I feel that this establishes better what we're about and what our mission and vision is with the work we do. And with the logo, I mean, imagery is important, and that logo really ties in the name and our outcome. You know, it looks like women together standing with their arms raised up. And the way it is, it almost looks like we're all adjusting our crowns, you know, everyone together adjusting our crowns, circling our wagon. And the colors is, you know, the blue and the green. I mean, I might be biased because that's sort of my favorite colors. That's what I'm wearing, but it's very much planet Earth, the green and the blue, very much Mother Earth. So, I mean, I love it. I'm still trying not to cry.
Thank you so much, Vinola. It is just great to see such wonderful enthusiasm. And I saw in the chat a lot of people saying they wanted jewelry with the new logo. And I am going to announce a little bit about some opportunities to shop in a couple minutes. So just hang on and I'll tell you where you can shop.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but I thought Anna Schoon's tapestry behind her had a very similar motif.
That's great. That's great. And so does your shirt, Vinola. So today is our big launch of the name, but please know that this will be a gradual change, and we'll be sharing all the tools and answers to nuts and bolts questions over time. Today, in fact, we have one of 3 meetings with chapter leaders to answer questions. And at 2 o'clock today, we directed our website to our new address, togetherwomenrise.org. So if you enter diningforwomen.org, it will now be automatically directed to togetherwomenrise.org. Our social media channels cannot be redirected, so please use our new handles. We're sending a social media toolkit to you. You will receive it Monday, so you can spread the news, especially on International Women's Day. And because we think our new name and logo are so beautiful, we've partnered with Fairwear to offer a variety of ethically sourced, sustainable products curated specifically for our new brand launch. Fairwear does not sell products destined for the landfill. It strives to drive better consumer habits, to educate recipients about sustainability and community impact, and to support sustainable product manufacturing. We have been looking for a fair trade company to sell and distribute their branded swag for years and are so excited to offer this now. We have t-shirts, water bottles, totes, face masks, aprons, and now I think that the link was put in the chat. Yes, it's called Pop-Up Shop. You can see it there in the chat. So you could take a look and start shopping as soon as you want. And now we're going to wrap up with a special message from Angelique Kijo, who founded Batonga Foundation, which was a featured grantee in 2018. We're proud to call Angelique a friend to Together Women Rise, and she wanted to share her special congratulatory message with all of you.
Hello, my friend for Dining for Women, or should I now say Together Women Rise. My name is Angelique Kijo, and I am so excited to be part of your event today and celebrate International Women's Day with each and every one of you, even if virtually. Together Women Rise. What a powerful name. What a powerful message. One we continue to pass on around us to our sisters, our brothers, and everyone willing to do the hard work of making this world a more equal place. Today, I celebrate your commitment to come together as a community to fight for women and girls' rights and to achieve a global gender equality. I am a firm believer that when we come together, there is absolutely nothing that can stop us. I myself have also recognized the power of women coming together to make a difference. I founded the Batonga Foundation, a proud past recipient of a grant from Dining for Women, with the vision to create a world where all young women and girls are respected, listened to, and given equal opportunity to build their own futures. Batonga's model is based on the idea that potential can be turned into power, that adolescent girls and young women can indeed rise when given the tools, opportunity, and skills. When we help them build strong solidarity networks, they find that community of purpose and support, there is no stopping them. Our model is also based on the incredible work of a network of local women mentors who accompany these girls and young women throughout this journey. Because women learn from other women, women are lifted up by other women, women rise together. I've visited Batonga's program almost every single year since 2006. Every time I see that impact with my own eyes. The adolescent girls and young women in our programs are confident and vocal about their needs and priorities. They learn how to speak for themselves and for others in our leadership clubs. Through our young women business circles, they are generating the income they need to be independent, have options, and be able to plan their futures. Through our community project that they design and lead, they gain recognition of their leadership by those around them. With our support, they are doing the work of rising. And believe me, the sky is the limit. Together, women rise. It's more than a mantra. It is a methodology of work. It's also a message of accountability. We need to continue to do all our part to make this a reality. You know me, and you know what I think. Words are good, actions are better. I am proud of the friendship and collaboration between Batonga and now Together Women Rise. I am excited to push it forward in this new era where so much work needs to be done. We are always ready to welcome you in our family. And please check out our brand new website that does such a beautiful job at showing who we are. I can't wait to see the great things that this community will achieve under your new name. Congratulations once again. Happy International Women's Day, and thank you.
Thank you so much to Angelique and Batonga staff. I also want to thank our board of directors for leading this change. I want to thank our amazing staff, our national volunteers, and all of our chapter leaders who continue to lead this group forward with our grantees. Please don't forget to celebrate International Women's Day on Monday, March 8th with our new social media kit that you'll receive in email. We have easy Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter posts for you, frames for your profile pictures, and a lot more. Happy International Women's Day and goodbye until we see each other again.